Hello, everybody. It is another special episode of the Ranting Redhead. I am your host, Aiden. July 4th was the other day, and yes, it was a very patriotic, very special holiday, but if there's one holiday that is always better than that, it is July 6th. Because 76 years ago, this man was born, and without him, July 4th would not be worthy of celebration. Sylvester Stallone celebrates his 76th birthday today, and I wanted to do a special episode honoring him. Look, anybody who knows me knows I am a massive Sylvester Stallone fan. Um, in my eyes, he can barely do anything wrong. I get he's not the best actor in the world, but he's one of my favorites, if not my favorite. And I was like, you know what? I wanted to do something special. I wanted to go through his movies and tell you which ones are great and bad. And you know what? We'll see how long the discussion continues. So I'm gonna I'm gonna go to Sylvester Stallone's IMDb and we'll run through his movies from earliest to newest. Okay? He was nominated for 3 Oscars. Let's go through that first because I think we can all guess which ones they are. Best writing and screenplay, Rocky. Best actor in a leading role, Rocky, and best performance in a supporting role, Creed. He should have won all three, but that's beside the point. Okay, let's go to all filmography. I have not seen every single Stallone movie, by the way. I don't claim to be a perfect human being because, as we all know, perfect people watch every single Stallone movie. Okay, he has 91 acting credits. So let's go through all this and see what we got. Okay, I'm gonna start. There's a lot of early ones I haven't seen. Lords of Flatbush I have not seen. I've seen most of Death Race 2000. If you haven't seen it, it's a pretty fun, cheesy Roger Corman movie with David Carradine. Sylvester Stallone plays the bad guy. It's actually kind of fun. I enjoyed it. Then of course Rocky. Listen, if you don't like Rocky, get the hell off of my channel because I don't like you. I'm kidding. Actually, it's funny. I've only met one person that hates the movie Rocky. Absolutely hates it. And it's my mother. she she absolutely does not like Stallone at all. And she especially hates Rocky. She thought Creed was all right, but hated Rocky. And Rocky to me, that's in my top 3 movies. Absolutely love it. Okay, that was from 1976. 1978, Fist. I've heard a lot about this. I've heard he's actually really good in it. I have yet to see it. Paradise Alley. I've seen clips. I have the DVD somewhere. I have not seen it. I think that's the first movie he directed. However, the second movie he directed, I of course have seen, is Rocky 2. Um, that's maybe that's one of the best double features you can do is Rocky 1 and 2 back to back. It's so good. Rocky 2 has maybe arguably one of Stallone's greatest moments of all time when Adrian comes out of the coma, says there's one thing I want you to do for me. What's that? Win. And then he starts training. Mickey goes, "Well, what are we waiting for?" So good. Love that movie. Okay, the next two I also have not seen, but I own one of them. Nighthawks, I've been wanting to check out, and Victory. Then he did Rocky 3, and of course it's great. You know what? Maybe after this I'll finally rank the Rocky movies because they're my favorite. It's my favorite franchise out there. Rocky 3, awesome movie. One of the saddest deaths in any movie when Mickey dies. But yeah, great movie. Love every second of it. Clubber Lang might be the best villain in the whole franchise. I'll say that. He's so good. And that fight. Oh, that and Rocky 2 probably have the best fights. Okay, First Blood. Okay. First Blood is easily one of his best movies, and if you do not feel a little bit of emotion, if you don't get a little bit emotional at the end when he gives that speech about how he feels mistreated after coming back from the war. You gotta have a heart of stone to not think he's doing a phenomenal job in that scene. The whole movie's great. It's not an action movie. If you haven't seen it, everybody thinks like, oh, it's the Rambo movie. That's the Rambo. That's the dude movie. No, this is actually a really well done movie. Now, the sequel's different story, but okay. Um, Okay, so then we start to get into well, Rhinestone, where Sylvester Stallone sings. It's so bad. I have not seen the whole movie. I can't watch the whole movie. It's so bad. Just him singing is awful, but I love every second of it. It's so bad. Um, but anyway, Rambo: First Blood Part 2. I think it's his highest grossing movie. Um, First Blood Part 2 is a very I actually still enjoy it. A lot of people say it's pretty dated. It is. I'm not going to deny it, but you know what? I still think it's a lot of fun when he blows up the guy with the arrow. I mean, come on, that's pretty sweet. Um, yeah, and that's this. Like I said, this is where we start to get into Rambo action, and not just drama like the first one. I mean, none of the sequels are ever as good as the first one with Rambo, but there's some good ones that we'll get to. Okay, Rocky 4. I've said it a million times. It's the ultimate dude movie. You can't go wrong with it. It is absolutely just the funnest movie to watch if you have nothing to do. It's only an hour and a half. Every second of it is awesome, especially the robot. How can you not love the robot? Happy birthday, Polly. I mean, come on. Best robot in a movie. Am I right? Okay, Cobra. The next year, Cobra. Now, funny fact, if you don't know, Sylvester Stallone was originally supposed to be in Beverly Hills Cop as the main character, and he wanted it to be more serious, and it ended up being Cobra. Obviously, he didn't do Beverly Hills Cop. Cobra's not great, but it might have the best kill in any Stallone movie when he impales a guy on a hook and like forces him into a furnace. I mean that's pretty cool. I can't deny. Over the Top. That is definitely one of my biggest guilty pleasure Stallone movies. It's so bad. It's so bad. But I mean, come on. It's just a bunch of it's so stupid. It's really bad. I don't even remember it really because I haven't seen it in years. But my God, I love I love every second of it from what I remember. He gets custody over his kid because he won an arm wrestling tournament. I mean, come on. How can you not love that? Okay, here's something I don't love. Rambo 3. Um, Definitely the worst Rambo movie without a doubt in my mind. It's got some alright moments. Very dated. Watch it now. Um, and yeah, oof, it's pretty dated, but I don't even think the action's fine, but none of it's memorable to me. So for a Rambo movie, I can't give it a pass. Okay, Lock Up. I only saw half of it. It was such a whatever movie, but I enjoyed it from the half that I saw. There's a really really long football scene that comes out of nowhere, makes no sense. Okay, but here's a great movie. It's not, but it's awesome. Tango and Cash. I mean, how can you not love Sylvester Stallone and Kurt Russell together? That's like the perfect pairing. That's actually I will defend. That's like a really fun cheesy movie. Jack Palance is the villain. I enjoy it. I think it's a ton of fun. Rocky 5. Um I share most people's opinion on it. It's definitely the worst Rocky movie. However, there's one phenomenal scene in it when he's having the flashback with Mickey. That's one of the best Rocky scenes ever, easily top 5. Okay, Oscar. I have not seen it. I think John Landis directed it. Some big comedy guy directed it. I've heard it's pretty bad. Here's the movie that Stallone called the worst movie ever made. Stop or my mom will shoot. Um, if you, most people know this story, but if you don't, I'll tell it. Stallone apparently got tricked into doing the movie by Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was trying to bait Stallone into doing it, so he told his agent, he's like, yeah, I'm thinking about doing it. So Stallone was like, no, I have to do it so he can't get it. And yeah, he considers it easily the worst movie he ever did. But you know, it's a really fun movie. It's Cliffhanger, from what I remember. I've only seen it once, but it's pretty fun. It's got some good action. John Lithgow is the villain. That's pretty cool. I like it. Same year, he did Demolition Man. Demolition Man's a ton of fun. I mean, but easily the best part of that movie is Wesley Snipes. It's love it, love it. I mean, come on. How can anybody not love Stallone? Look at all these. Look at all these quote unquote masterpieces. How can anybody not love him? He's just a simple guy who just wanted something to eat. Yeah. I don't know. After Rocky, I don't know what my favorite Stallone movie is. I'm still deciding. I never saw The Specialist. Judge Dredd is not that great. It's fun, I guess. Assassins I never saw. Daylight I saw a little bit of. Copland. Copland's actually a ton of fun. And he's actually really good in it, I think. He gained I want to say 40 pounds for it. But it's actually a pretty good movie. It's a good crime drama. I enjoy it. Okay, here's where we get into some bad movies, and even Stallone will admit that this was definitely not good. And I haven't seen a single one of these except for I think one of them. Ants, Get Carter. I've seen that. Driven, I See You, Avenging Angelo, Taxi 3, Shade, Spy Kids 3, Game Over. And here is where we get one of my favorites of all time, Rocky Balboa, Rocky 6. I think that is, look, I love Rocky 4 for the cheesiness. I love it as just a guilty pleasure movie. But Rocky Balboa is actually a great movie, and I think it's the best sequel of the Rockies. Then, once again, we get into another one of the best, Rambo. So, funny story about that movie. Last year I had my own little drive-in. I set up a big screen outside, and a buddy of mine said, "Hey, can I come over and we'll watch a movie?" I'm like, "Absolutely." And this is at work, and he goes, "We should." I'm like, "Let's watch Rambo." He goes, "Okay." He'd seen it. He's a big Stallone guy as well. But then this one girl was like, "Hey, I want to go see a movie." So we're like, okay, we're gonna watch Rambo, and she's like, "Oh, that sounds like fun." And of course, she brought along her girlfriend, and I forgot something. As the movie started, I'm like, "Wait a minute, this is one of the most violent mainstream movies ever, and it's the fourth Rambo movie." I was like, "Oh shit, she's got no context." It was just they throw the bad guys in the movie throw kids into burning buildings. It is messed up. And apparently they loved the movie. They loved it. It's so much fun. It's messed up. I love it. The Expendables 1, 2, and 3, they're fine. They're not anything spectacular. They're fine. Bullet to the Head, I actually enjoyed that. That's actually not a bad Stallone movie with him and Jason Momoa. I admit, I kind of had fun with that movie. Now, is it a great movie? No, but I enjoyed it. I never saw The Escape Plans. I never saw Grudge Match. Creed. Creed is amazing. It's easily one of the best Rocky sequels, and he definitely should have won the Oscar for it. I thought he was phenomenal in it. He was a voice in the Ratchet and Clank movie. I think I saw that, but I can't tell you. Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I hate that movie. So, yeah, and he's barely in it. But hey, Kurt Russell's also in it. Creed 2. Very good movie. I don't think it's better than the first Creed, but I do like them both in it. Both Michael B. Jordan and Sylvester Stallone. I think they're all great in it. Dolph Lundgren. Actually, the best thing about that movie, it makes Rocky 4 a better movie. It kind of not legitimate. It makes the Dragos more human. It's good. I like it. Rambo Last Blood. Okay, I skipped a day of college to watch that movie, but before I did, I binged all the Rambos. I had only ever seen the first one. I binged them all, watched Rambo Last Blood, and I still to this day will say that is my greatest movie experience of all time. It was the best. The Suicide Squad. He was the best part of that movie as the shark, as King Shark. What's the one line? He's like, just bird. He's like, Peacemaker. I love that just deep voice on a shark. It's so funny. And I actually really like that movie. And if Rambo Last Blood was not my best theater experience, you know what was? The Rocky 4 director's cut. It was one night only. I had to go see it. I drove an hour to go see it. And it's funny because there was a live Q&A with Sylvester Stallone, for a half hour before the movie started. It was great. And when the movie started, it's like a really big recap of Rocky 3 for like 10 minutes, but for the first like 7 minutes, there was no sound, but everybody in that theater was obviously a giant Rocky fan. So we were all like reciting the lines as it was happening. Because there was no sound. Thank God they like restarted the movie, but yes, that was also one of the best theater experiences I ever had. Seeing new Rocky 4 footage on the big screen. That's the only Rocky movie I've ever seen in theater. And because it was one night only, I feel very privileged to see that. And yeah, that about wraps it up. That's all the movies I've seen of his. He's got a couple more coming out, like he's got Samaritan, Expendables 4, Guardians 3. But I'm actually looking forward to The Tulsa King. It's gonna be on Paramount Plus show where he's like an ex-mob criminal. It looks interesting. I'm curious to see it. But yes, Sylvester Stallone, definitely one of my favorite actors of all time. And now I'm gonna I want to rank the Rocky movies. Okay, so Rocky 5 is the worst. I'm going from worst to best. Now, after this one, I like them all. So, okay, after Rocky 5, I would say it's Creed 2. After Creed 2, this is tough. I do love all these movies. Okay, so I will say it's hard to rank 4 cuz it's not a great movie, but I love it. And I'll just say the original, but you know what? Screw it. I'll say the theatrical. I'll say the director's cut. I'll go with the director's cut because it does make it. I think it does make it a better movie. The only problem I have with the director's cut, it's one problem. They didn't. The music is not as loud as you want it to be. Like they focus way more on like sound effects, like punch sound effects, like more realistic punch sound effects than hearing the Rocky 4 soundtrack loud, because that is my favorite soundtrack in a movie is the Rocky 4 soundtrack. That's my only problem is the music I wish was a little louder, especially in the theater. Like if it was not that great in the theater, you know it's not the best when you're watching it at home. So, okay. So, what was I saying? Rocky 5, Creed 2. I'll go with Rocky 3. This is tough because I do love Rocky 3. After Rocky 3, I'll go with Rocky 4, the director's cut. Rocky 2, Creed, Rocky Balboa, and Rocky. From worst to best, that's how I would rank it. Yes, you can't, like I said, the only one that's bad is 5, but other than that, all the Rockies are great. You can't go wrong. Most Stallone movies are great if you can have fun with cheesy movies. If you can have fun with it, you're going to have a blast with watching any Stallone movie. And if I had to pick one movie of his that's not a Rocky or a Rambo that I would say is his best, I think his best performance is Copland. If we're excluding like the Rockies or Rambos, I would say Copland. But if we're going for best overall movie, that's a tough one. Because like I said, I love Over the Top, but it's not great. I would... Man, this is really tough. Because I do love Tango and Cash. I would go probably with Demolition Man. I think that movie's a ton of fun. I think for the premise alone of that movie, if you haven't seen Demolition Man, it actually holds up pretty well. But yeah, I think the premise itself is worthy of being at that title. So I would say if you've only seen the Rockies and Rambos, haven't seen any other Stallone movies, check out Demolition Man. There's other great movies that he's done, don't get me wrong, but I would say after that, that's probably my favorite of his. So yeah, Sylvester Stallone, the greatest actor of all time. It is his 76th birthday, and if you're not doing anything today, you need to go watch a Stallone movie. I don't care what it is. If you're gonna watch Tango and Cash, Rocky 5, Cliffhanger, Rhinestone, Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, watch any of them. Just watch any of them. Yeah, I guess you don't have to watch Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. That's pretty bad. But with that, I know this wasn't a ranting episode, but I just had to do it. This was a special episode. So with that, I'm gonna end it. Thank you all so much for listening. Happy birthday, Sylvester Stallone. And I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye-bye!